if you're going to buy the best, this is the one, I think. Right, so the Ducati Desert X, what is it really like? I think I'm going to need to put my visor down. Well, it's everything that you expect it to be. You know, it's purposeful, it's big, but you get that certain sense straight away. You know, I like this thing when you get on a bike and it makes you feel something. It makes you want to go somewhere or do something on it, and this is exactly that. It just makes you want to go on a massive adventure, but somewhere very far away. It makes you want to go to somewhere like Africa or something. You just think, oh yeah, I could see myself crossing deserts on this, and all that great stuff that you can do. The thing with this bike that it has in common with other bikes of this sort of style, and I would liken it closer to something like an Africa Twin, in that you've got that great suspension, you've got plenty of travel, you're not, you know, you go over bumps, you just don't feel the bumps, you know it can soak all of that up, you're not going to get thrown around, it's not pretending to be something, it is something, and that's what I love about bikes like this. And that twin engine, although it's sort of been quietened down, and you know that people will put, you know, different exhaust, Termagoni exhaust and that sort of thing on here, but it sounds good. You know, you've got that peculiarity with the L Twin. It's just the way that it's angled. It just gives you a certain feel to it, and I like that about Ducati because they, you know, they do their own thing. And when you look at how well Ducati are doing as a company now, you know, they're pretty on it, aren't they? You know, they're showing sales records and all the rest of it, where a lot of companies are struggling. You would think that companies like this that are in the sort of premium end of the market would have difficulty, but they don't. They seem to be bucking the trend. You know, and you can't say fairer than that, can you, really? And I think that's the sort of joy of owning a bike like this, and it's not, it's got all the right parts. It's got the best suspension, fully adjustable suspension. We've got the best brakes, you know, you've got enough brakes to stop an oil tanker on this darn thing. It's not going to let you down. They don't put cheap components on their bikes. But when you actually look at the initial cost of this bike, it's actually not that bad. I think the base model of this is still floating around sort of 16,000. And when you compare that to a GS, that's pretty good. You know, it's not, well, you know, it always helps if your last name's Shake, isn't it? But it just, and this is why I looked at this in the, you know, the good values adventure bike shootout, I suppose you would call it, from the other day, is that a bike like this in a dealer's at the moment, now this has got all the kit on it. It's got the engine bars, it's got the auxiliary fuel tanks. I mean, you've got a lot of range on this bike, which, you know, it's 120 horsepower, it's going to need it. But you're looking at 11,000 cash buy on this bike at the moment. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. You know, that's amazing value as far as I can tell. You know, it's more than its sum total of parts, isn't it? You look at what you could buy for parts for this bike. You know, those brakes are probably going to cost you a couple of grand, aren't they? Just on their own, if you had to buy those Brembo calipers. So it's got to be said, I think these are a very, very good bike to buy at the moment. They're good value, and it's the pinnacle of its style, isn't it? It's the if you're going to buy the best, this is the one, I think. It's an absolute sweetheart. It really is. I won't be opening it up on these roads because they're very greasy and I don't want to get the bike dirty. But just the actual overall feel of it, it's a tall bike, and it does give me that impression a little bit. It reminds me of my Africa Twin. I had the 1000cc Africa Twin, and it feels very much like that. And it's sort of like ride height, but I think this is taller. I think this ride's taller than the Africa Twin. And I think it's a nice bike where you can stand up on it, and it feels, it's a good, those pegs
are fantastic. Wow. Do you know what? They're some of the best pegs I've ever tried. They actually, they fit the whole foot. You know, the whole ball of my foot is on there, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. Yeah. Do you know, this is a sort of bike that was designed by people that wanted to take it to the, you know, on an adventure. That's the thing. And you sort of think, whoever designed this, they knew what they were designing. And I think that's a big difference with bikes like this. But is it a one? Would you want to commute on this every day? Oh yeah, yeah. Particularly if I lived in Saint-Tropez or something. You look so cool. But it is a bike you can do. Remember we talked about that servicing on that other video that I did? You look at the servicing on this now. The Desmotronic valve service, what people I think get very scared of. Oh, it's just expensive, you know. It's like owning a racehorse, this thing, and it's not. You know, you're looking at 15,000 miles. That's better than the Honda, and that's saying something, isn't it? And it's also saying that the company are, you know, they trust their equipment. They trust that it's going to last. And when you have the Desmotronic service done, you get the belts done at the same time, because they only charge you for the belts. They don't charge you for the fitting as such, because, you know, you've got to take the belts off, so they're going to put new belts on it. So you've got to say that's pretty impressive. I think I worked out when I looked at the prices, if you put away like £10 a month, you would have enough after your 5-year interval to do your Desmotronic, your you know, full service and all the rest of it, no problem. I think that's cheaper than a lot of bikes, you know. I think that really is cheaper than a lot of bikes. I like the long travel suspension. It works, doesn't it? And the look of it, just the darn look at the thing. It's going back to those sort of classic Dakar bikes, isn't it? You know, that you had. I think we were talking about, is it the Aprilia, the Tuaregs and the Elephant and all those sort of bikes, and it's got that sort of style to it, hasn't it? And I think people like that. They like the twin headlight arrangement, and I think that's it's going back to, it's almost like the classic styling that we look at for Bonnevilles in adventure bikes, isn't it? And I think there's a big market for this still at the moment, particularly in that sort of rally spec where you've got the portrait screens and stuff on this bike. It's so nice. I think we'll do a little stop somewhere. I've got to find somewhere to stop, and we'll have a look around the bike. Come on. I don't really want to get this back. I don't really want to stop until I get to Morocco. Come on, let's have a look around. Right, so here it is, Ducati Desert X. And I just think, out of all the bikes that have come out in this sort of rally style, I just think this is the prettiest of the lot. It's just, they got it right, didn't they? They got it right. There's the lovely seat that everybody sort of tries to replicate, the seat, the big tank. Remember, this was built to do a job, and it, you know, it really is sort of bike that you think you could sort of run, you know, go and do the Dakar in straight off the bat. But it's pretty. The engine is great. You've got 120 horsepower. You don't need all that horsepower. You know, you could probably get away with half of it, but you know you've got it there when you need it, and that's something I really like about this bike. And I think that's important when you're buying bikes like this. You want it to perform the way it was designed, even if it's loaded up. And a lot of bikes fail in that, I think, but something like the Desert X doesn't. And again, I have to reiterate this thing about, you know, second hand at the moment. These are such a good buy. And I think you have to lose that thought that these are highly strung animals, which you've got to spend a lot of money out to sort of kick. They got to be on life support because they take so much servicing and that. They don't. The service intervals are much better on this than they are on a Africa Twin. And as I said before on the ride around, that Desmotronic service and the cam belts can be done at the same time at 15,000 miles. That's fantastic. And it's something that I mentioned in my look at the 3 bikes I did the other day. You know, I could take this from here, near Gatwick. I could take this down to Morocco. As far as I could go in Morocco, I could easily go down to Dakar and then come all the way back, and I don't need to service it. You get some of those cheaper bikes, and you know, I'm not knocking Chinese bikes, but it's something you need to be thinking about. You buy some of the Chinese adventure bikes, you'd have to service that 3 times before you got home. Interesting, isn't it? And I think that's that's the advantage of buying bikes like this, is that they build in that big service interval, which is, when you're doing a lot of touring, is so key. That is so key. Worth remembering that. One of the features I really liked about this bike were the pegs. The pegs are so comfy, and to stand up, think about standing up on all these bikes. When you're going over rough ground, you cannot go over rough ground if you're going to sit on the bike, because it doesn't allow the bike to move in the way that it wants. And standing up is really key. And I found this on my my CB500, is that you could stand up, but it was tiring. On here, the reach and everything to the bars when you're standing up is just as comfortable as when you're sitting down. Interesting how somebody can do that. You know, a designer can do that, make it so comfortable in both positions. So that's really good. And of course, if you're hammering it a little bit, you know, with your quick shift and all the rest of it, you don't have to wear a clutch and all the rest of it. So really nice. Everything feels high quality. Your bars, you've got a steering damper and all this stuff, it just feels good quality. The interesting is we've got the auxiliary tanks on here. Now these are full, so all the tanks on this bike are full up, and it doesn't feel like you're carrying a lot of load, which again I think is indicative of the way the bike's been designed. It's been designed to do that and work with the extra weight. When you get bikes where you start loading them up, you know, they lose that sense that where they were originally designed, and they become something else, where this sort of stays as it should be, which is really nice. Right, let's get back out on the road, finish the ride off, and I better take this back.
So how can I sum this bike up then? Well, I mean, you just got to say that it is an awesome bike, you know. And I think if you're looking for something which is really dedicated to a purpose, that can really do it all, at not a lot of money in real terms these days in the second-hand market, then I think these are well worth looking at. It's a bike that you'll just love looking at and going into the garage, that's for sure. You know, yeah, they had the odd little glitch, I think, electrical, but then, blimey, everything that comes out of a factory these days has got some sort of glitch, because, you know, the testing is not brilliant, is it, on vehicles these days? They tend to let customers test them. But I think on bikes which have, like this, that have done about 3,000 miles, they've been run in, you saved yourself the aggravation of that and the cost, you know, and you're saving effectively £8,000, I think, £8,500, £9,000 off the list price of this bike with all the extras on it. You've got to say it's a bit of a bargain, I think. I just think it's stunning. I think it's stunning. I think after riding around a lot this morning, that I think I would have to put my dog bed onto the seat, the famous dog bed. You know, this is hard. This is pretty hard. If you're only a little slight thing, you know, you'd be fine. Something like Itchy Boots would be fine, wouldn't you, on this? But I just think as a piece of equipment, you know, that was built to do a job, wow, it really does it. And you can see why Ducati are doing so well, because they're knocking it out of the park with the quality and the features and the stuff that they put on their bikes. You know, they don't do things by halves, do they, Ducati? And that shows in their sales. It really does. So I shall tootle about a little bit more. Got to drive a bit of road, that's nice. But I can drive a bit of road. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Feels so damn stable. Really does feel stable, and that's what I like about it. But yeah, so that is the Ducati Desert X. It's 900 odd cc's of missile, isn't it, really? That you can ride on the dirt at missile speeds. Right, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Ride safe, please, because we might even get some dry weather coming up. Right, take care, see you soon.